Back to the Patrick Netherton Show right here on 1130 The Tiger. He's Rogers Hampton. I'm Patrick Netherton. I'm doing well today, but I am not doing salmon shorts at work well today. I'm not doing quite that good. But that is what my man Greg Adams, that's how good he's doing. He's rocking around in salmon shorts today. They're not made of salmon. They're not the salmon cannon like we saw that has become the news in the news cycle recently. But they're salmon colored, and my man's looking sharp. He's got his Braun Strowman shirt on. I mean, it's all Greg's got it going on. Do you have an official title for Geek'd Con? Are you like executive director, or
I've had like 5 or 6 different titles for it, so I don't know if there's actually an official title. It's just kind of the guy.
You're Stan Lee of Geek'd Con.
Whoa, no. Let's not.
Yeah,
do
you
that.
are.
Let's not do that.
I mean, you're not dead at this point.
But no. That's. I mean,
you created it.
Well, no. I mean, creating it is
in terms of you did create this. Did you not? I mean, am I giving you too much credit for creating this idea, putting this together?
So, creating it is a little.
You didn't create the idea of a con.
That's sort
but
of
you created the one here, and it's become a huge success in 5 years.
Now that. Yeah, okay, so that, but like,
right. Stop being humble.
Well, no,
you just walked into the Patrick Netherton Show. You don't get to be humble here. That's right. Humility doesn't exist in this dojo.
No, a couple of years ago, I went and researched and found all of the original Comic-Cons that came through Shreveport. And the Sci-Fi Expo back in the early 2000s, and prior to that, there was one at the Isle of Capri that was just basically a comic dealer show. Still counts as a Comic-Con though, so we're not the first. We're not the original. We're just the biggest and longest running.
You're just the best.
Okay.
Yeah, take that. There you go.
All right.
He's Greg Adams. Not only is he the big boss man, and why you don't wear a sheriff's outfit and carry a baton is beyond me, like the big boss man, the actual wrestler. I don't know, but we term him the big boss man. Fletcher is dear leader, or a Tim Jong-un, either one, whichever you want. While Greg Adams is technically brand manager, is that what we go with now?
Yeah.
I love how those things change all the time.
Well, I was actually, and we can sidebar away from this real quick, I was a program director at the time that brand manager became a thing.
Okay.
So, they explained to me, it was actually my first program director job. When I was getting the job, I said, okay, cool, so I'm going to be the program director. And they were like, no, you're the brand manager. And I was like, okay, well, what does that mean? You're the program director, but you're also now in charge of the websites. And at the time, the social media the extent of it was MySpace. So you're in charge of the website, the radio station, and our social media, which I don't even think it was called social media yet. So you're in charge of our MySpace page.
Yeah.
Okay, so those extra things that make it a brand manager, that means more money, right?
So we want you in our top 8 is what you're saying.
Right.
We needed you in our top 8. Nevertheless, he is the grand poobah of Geek'd Con. He came up with the concept. He's brought it to fruition, now in its 5th year, going strong, and really just a fantastic lineup that you put together. Now, and if you want to text in, we do have a question already on the text line we'll get to in just a second. If you would like to text
I've actually never done that. So if we've got people who want to fire questions, that would be awesome. I've never done that.
So if you want to send us a question, feel free. 657-0HAM, 657-0426. We encourage people to send us questions. We have one. We'll get to it in a sec. But for those that don't know, for those that maybe are listening, they're a sports guy, they don't know what this is all about. Explain the concept of Geek'd Con.
Well, I think a lot of people are familiar with Comic-Con now because it's become such a mainstream thing. Well, a lot of us see news coverage of San Diego Comic-Con. Basically, what we did is we've taken that San Diego Comic-Con idea and scaled it to Shreveport. So, San Diego Comic-Con is gigantic. They announce all the Marvel movies there. They play the trailers for the first time ever. You see the biggest guests in the world at that event. We know that we're not that. We're Shreveport, so we're not going to try and do that type of show. We're not Dallas. Dallas has a ton of Comic-Cons. They get the same gigantic... I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger was just at a show over there.
Could he pronounce Dallas correctly?
I'm not sure.
Because he couldn't pronounce California correctly, and he was the governor.
Yeah, well...
California.
I don't know. Maybe we're wrong.
I don't know. Ask California is, but anyway.
So what we've done is we've scaled that idea to Shreveport. We've built it over the last 5 years. So the original show had a substantially smaller lineup, but as the show gets bigger, we get a bigger lineup.
Sure.
and hope to continue that down the road. But one of the pillars of this event to begin with was proving that everyone's a little geeky.
Yeah.
So even if somebody, is thinking to themselves, well, I'm a sports guy through and through, there's nothing geeky about me at all. Well, that same guy may have worn his Dak Prescott jersey to the opening of Avengers Endgame.
Right.
And went to see a comic book movie. Watches The Walking Dead or The Fear of the Walking Dead, whatever the new one is. Loved Game of Thrones based on a fantasy novel.
Yeah.
Loves horror movies. Loves pro wrestling. All of this stuff falls under that geek fandom umbrella. And so everybody has a little geekiness to them. We just need to figure out exactly what it is and tweak that part. And then they go, oh, I get it now.
The amazing thing to me is that it is the spectrum that you cover, because we've talked about the guests. You've got, guys like Michael Rooker, who was on The Walking Dead, who was in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You've got LeVar Burton, who was in the Star Trek universe. He was also, to me, reading Rainbow, Star Trek The Next Generation. That's where I know him from. A lot of people may know him from Roots, from even further back. You also have, by the way, wrestlers.
Yeah.
You got Kevin Nash and Trish Stratus. So you've got voice actors who do animated stuff. You've got artists who do artistic stuff. You've got actors who've been in sci-fi stuff. It's almost like there's a little something for everyone.
Yeah, that's sort of the idea when we put the lineup together, is that we try to go in a direction for everybody. There's a couple of times where we've centered on a particular idea. Like a couple of years ago, we really thought that it would be cool to do like a nostalgic thing and bring in Lou Ferrigno and Sam J. Jones.
Flash Gordon.
And we had Gil Gerard that same year, Buck Rogers. So we had kind of that nostalgic hero thing. Yeah,
Raj still has the poster.
And then last year we kind of did that too with some of the nostalgic superheroes from TV. We had Helen Slater, who was Supergirl.
Rogers has all of your posters ready to go.
We had John Wesley Shipp and we had Helen Slater. But at the same time, when we do that, we try to branch off a little bit as well. And Eric Estrada last year kind of fell in that same world, just not the superhero aspect. He was just kind of in that same realm.
Rogers, you're blocking Greg's view of the camera, so
I don't. No.
Everyone needs to see his face.
So this year what we've done is we've got little pockets of things that kind of tie together.
Yeah.
So like we have Miko. That was a great year.
Elvira.
Yeah, the
Mistress of the Dark.
2016 when Cassandra Peterson was here. That was great. But we've got like Miko Hughes from Pet Sematary, the original one in the 80s, who played Gage, the child. So and that's a horror movie representation. So then that branches into two different directions with horror. There's the modern TV horror, like the show Supernatural. We have Samantha Smith, who plays Mary Winchester in that show. And it also branches off into the pseudo-horror, like Rocky Horror Picture Show. And we've got Barry Bostwick coming in. So like these things kind of weave together. And you can find somebody like Richard Brake, who was the Night King in Game of Thrones, but he's also known for his work in the Rob Zombie horror movies, like 31, where he was the main bad guy. And he's going to be in the new movie 3 from Hell from Rob Zombie. So it's all this like horror thread that ties them together, and then each one branches off into another aspect of what another one does. So we could play 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon with everybody involved, but we've gone in enough different directions where hopefully somebody sees some, like even if you're just a sports fan, we've got people who are in sports movies. Like you've got Lori Petty, who is in A League of Their Own.
Sure.
And you've got Michael Rooker, who is in Days of Thunder. So you've got two actors, actresses who have sports movie representation. In addition to that, we got the pro wrestlers who...
I mean, Kevin Nash was in Magic Mike.
Kevin Nash was in both the Magic Mike movies. Not that I've seen it. And also, that's actually another sports movie. He was in The Longest Yard.
Yeah.
So, and maybe his greatest role ever in The Punisher, where he gets stabbed mid-scene and keeps going. Yeah. When he plays the Russian.
That's...
Didn't sell that. That was a no-sell.
By the way, and John Wick.
John Wick as well.
He was the bouncer in John Wick, and who got to walk away, by the way, and didn't get killed.
Maybe my favorite role is in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: The Secret of the Ooze, where he played the Super Shredder.
Oh, can't go wrong. Can't go wrong with that. Perhaps someone should bring that up to him. And
I think that's been brought up to him quite a bit.
So. Putting this together, and obviously, as you've gone on, you've been able to increase the budget. You've been able to increase your payouts to folks, so you get better and better people. I'm curious, though, is there an aspect to the reputation of an event when you go about trying to book these folks, where it's, okay, I hear about an event in whatever city in Ohio. I've heard it's not a good event, so no matter how much you pay me, I'm not showing up. Well, I hear that there's a great event in Shreveport, and so, maybe I might even take a little bit less to show up. Does reputation play a large role in how some of these guys choose where they want to go?
Big time. Every year there's probably thousands of Comic-Cons that happen every year across the United States. I would say 40 to 60% of them never see a year two. There are a lot of people who think that this type of event is really easy to do. You snap your fingers, put together a show, sell some tickets, people will show up. Doesn't always work that way. And so there are a lot of guests who agree to these shows. They fly in, they show up, and by the end of the weekend, they've only seen like 10 people walk by their table,
right.
And they're starting to realize, I'm probably not getting paid for this.
They're staying in a Motel 6. Or,
I have heard horror stories where they've actually been asked to pay for their own hotel once they arrive.
Good times.
So a lot of times they are trying to avoid those type of shows. So your reputation does immediately change the game. For us, we benefited in year one, and we owe a lot to the late Peter Mayhew, Chewbacca from Star Wars, who effectively gambled on a first-year show, came in and did the show, had a tremendous weekend. The show took off like crazy, and that reputation led to the second year where we got somebody. In year number 2, we had Cassandra Peterson here. We had Elvira in year 2. Which was crazy. We had George Perez that year, too, the creator of the Teen Titans, a guy whose movies and TV and video game creations are paying him enough right now to where he doesn't actually have to leave his house.
No.
But he came here to do the show in year 2. So having those experiences and having those type of people come through, a lot of the guests will say, okay, well, that person, was successful there. I can be successful there. And there's a lot of their agents are shared.
Sure.
So there are,
and they talk
big time,
yeah,
like huge,
yeah.
Because there are certain guests that you actually can't get to unless you book somebody from that agency,
right?
Show them
they send you basically a flyer guest, as it were.
Yep.
Like, all right, you show us you can treat this guy well, and then we'll give you the guy that's better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is huge.
Which is basically my show. So basically, you know what? If y'all want to maybe listen to this guy, we'll let you listen to Fletcher in the morning. If you want to text us, you can at 318-657-0-HAM. Got a text from Captain Insano. Ask Greg if he knows if the Dragon Ball folks will have the figure arts figures for sale. My son is a huge fan.
The guests themselves will likely not have them for sale.
Okay.
But one of the aspects of this event that's awesome, too, is that we have over 100 different vendors coming in from all corners of the country. So we've got folks coming in from New York. We've got vendors coming in from Iowa, West Texas, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, all over the place. And they're bringing either tons of collectibles. That we've got a lot of local artists bringing custom artwork, too. We've got comic books from all over the place. So the guests themselves will likely not have a lot of that material, but there will be merchandise all over the place. So on Friday night, we do what's called a vendor preview night. Most of the celebrities will not be there on Friday night. Occasionally, some of them do come down and just hang out. Lou Ferrigno came down when he was here and stayed the whole night.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just pop in for a little bit, say hello, and head back to their hotel. But on Friday night, all of the vendors will be set up, and they will have the first crack at the merchandise. So if you're looking at something special in particular, if you need a certain pop figure, or if you're looking for an action figure or a poster or a T-shirt, Friday night is the first chance to get any of that. So you can come out Friday night. We're there from 6 until 9.
Yep.
And you can get in there, shop everything, get what you need, get a lay of the land, get your wristband for the weekend if you got the weekend pass.
Right.
Then come back on Saturday, and the weekend pass wristband will help get you in faster. The advance tickets will also help get you in faster. If you have to buy at the box office, you got 2 lines that you got to deal with at that point. You got to go to the box office line, then get back outside and go to the other line. So it's a lot easier to buy in advance.
Speaking of, how do you buy in advance?
Geekdcon.com is the website. It's GeekDCon.com. GeekDCon.com. We also have a link on the 1130 The Tiger website. We will have the box office open, too. The box office will be open at least an hour before the doors each day at the convention center. So the earliest the box office will be open is about 5 o'clock on Friday. You can start getting all your tickets at that point at the box office at the convention center. Our military discount is only available at the box office because you have to show your valid military ID for active duty or veteran. We can't validate that online. We have to do it in person. So Friday at 5 at the box office will be the earliest you can start doing that. It's a different military discount this year than before. In the past, Friday night has been free for military. This year, it's $5 off any ticket. So it's not just Friday. If you want to buy the weekend pass, you can use your military discount towards that for the first time ever.
That's pretty awesome. And parking is free.
Parking is 100% free thanks to Papa-Lock.
There you go. Beautiful. Harriet says, tell Greg thanks from a longtime sci-fi fan who was a member of a science fiction club back in the day here in Shreveport. We even brought John Delancey here, Q from Star Trek. Glad to see this grow. Say hi to Dakota for me. So there you go. Harriet chimed in. All right, so when you look at the logistics of this, because you have now, you've got all these stars that are coming in, all these big-name people. They're all going to want to be treated right. You have to deal with then vendors, as you mentioned, who are out there. How do you, because I've watched your phone since we've been sitting here, and you've gotten like 41 messages since we've just been sitting here. I know you're aching to look at it. What is it like for you, not just in the preparation, but especially this week, the last week, this week, heading into Friday do you have time to think? Do you just sleep with your phone on your chest? Like, how does this work?
Let me see if I can paint a picture and see if everyone can feel this feeling. You are sinking in the water with something tied to your feet that's weighing you down. But there's a beautiful fireworks display just above the water that you get to look at as you're falling. Does that feel about right?
Sounds good to me.
Do you feel that? Because your hands are untied, so you can try to swim back up.
Right.
And sometimes you can make a little bit of ground up, and you can keep reaching for those firework displays, but no, you're just sinking.
Keep your feet on the ocean bed and reach for the stars.
That's about how it feels.
Yeah.
It's crazy because, without the job title aspect of it either, and there are a lot of people who help. There's a lot of people who pitch in, but a lot of it still comes back towards me, whether it's a vendor or a sponsor or somebody who's buying a ticket or a guest, a celebrity, or their agent, or really if any aspect of it, I'm unfortunately, and it's fortunate. There's a lot of people who would love to do this particular aspect of this job, and it's not that I hate it. I don't dislike it, but there's a lot of it that I have to be involved with. And so it gives you that overwhelming sense of pressure all the time.
Like there's and how do you keep things straight? How do you keep a to-do list? That's
poorly. I actually learned about 2 years ago to just not.
Yeah.
At this point, there really isn't a list of things that need to get done. It's just because if I start a list, then it'll only add to that.
You'll never
quicksand.
Stop making the list.
Right. The quicksand just keeps going.
Right.
And so. At this point, it's just swing at what's coming. Like don't try to plan. Just swing at what you see.
Sounds like the Detroit Tigers baseball plan. Really.
The last time that I watched them, actually, not a lot of swinging, just a lot of bats sitting on shoulders and guys sitting on the bench.
A lot of watching things go by. All right. Final thing, because I know you do have a bajillion things that you have to do.
This is actually nice, though, to be separated and hiding.
Right.
Like I feel like I'm hiding.
Sorry, I'm doing publicity for the show, guys. You can't reach me right now. Sorry, I'm on the air. Don't bother me. Trish Stratus just had a match in SummerSlam at WWE, a big match. It was her retirement match back at home. You're getting her off of a big moment. LeVar Burton continues to be a huge star. Michael Rooker has been announced that he'll be back more than likely in the MCU again. It feels like there is a lot of great momentum with this year's class of folks. Do you feel that? Do you feel the upward, even though you're drowning and trying to watch the fireworks, do you feel the upward trajectory that you're on right now?
This year, I think we may have lucked out in a couple of spots. You mentioned Trish last night. Michael Rooker has been confirmed for the MCU's What If series. And LeVar Burton keeps suggesting that he's going to be in the new Picard series for Star Trek.
He better be.
We got Richard Brake, who's just coming off from the end of Game of Thrones, one of the biggest TV shows in history. The Office keeps making news, and we got 2 guests from The Office. Like we have lucked out in a lot of ways this year with the way that the lineup has come together. But there are so many other aspects to this show that you can feel like you're on a trajectory, but at the same time, like you keep looking around, and my cynical nature in me continues to look at whatever the worst performing thing is, and that's the thing I latch onto.
Right.
So as successful as any part of this can be, there's always either that complaint that's coming in right now, or there's the issue with this one. There's always this one thing that's what's sticking with me. So that's just my cynical nature and the giant chip on my shoulder.
Well, look, here's the thing. I know, for the next week, will not have the ability to see things in the macro. You won't see anything in a macro sense. You'll see everything in a micro sense because everything is small fires that need to be put out.
Yep.
And before they all come together and conflagrate and turn into a giant fire that consumes everything. I understand that. But as a guy who's outside looking in, this is my first year to be involved with this, to be over here with Town Square. I understand the Dragon Ball Z panel is going to be amazing, but that's just me. But as a guy who's outside looking in, and I am a nerd, I'm not as geeky as some people, but I'm more so than others. This is a great thing. It's a great event. The trajectory of it continues to move forward. It has gotten better. I mean, I look at the old posters and I see where the guests have gone. I know you can't see it necessarily because of where you're at, but understand the people outside know what a hell of a job you've done at this. So I just want you to understand that. I want you to know that those of us outside the bubble, so to speak, appreciate what you're doing.
Well, thank you. And maybe at some point I will look back on it and feel the same way, but at this point right now, I'm like, man, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Why am I doing this to myself?
Yeah, I know it's going to happen. As of next Monday, he's going to be like, all right, so what guest am I booking for the 2020 Geek'd Con?
No, that normally, it honestly will start probably Friday night or Saturday. There will be conversations that will be had about, because just from my experiences, that's how it normally, this started last year. So
yeah, that's what happens, brother. Well, look, it's a hell of an event. Friday at 6 o'clock, and then the things really get kicked up on Saturday at 10, and then Sunday at 11. Yeah, that's what I thought. I just want to make sure.
And by the way, if everyone's downloaded the 1130 The Tiger app, we are sending out a ton of app alerts with a bunch of the information on it. Mm-hmm. So if you're planning on going this weekend, download the app, because we'll send out the frequently asked questions, we'll send out the entrance points, we'll send out times. All that stuff is coming directly to the app on the phone. And not for nothing, but stay tuned Thursday, Friday, because you never know. We might have people drop in on us at unexpectedly. Guests from Geek'd Con. You just never know how that happens. Again, let's just add another one of those moving things that I've got to try to figure out. Yeah, but we don't know. And that's the thing. I'm not going to promise anyone anything, but chances are somebody is going to drop in here on Thursday or Friday at some point. Fair to say? Hopefully. That's my goal. Yeah. If not, we're just going to make Greg come back and come back and sit in here and watch his phone melt. My cot gets set up at the convention center Wednesday morning. Yeah. Yeah. Good job, my friend. Thank you. That's Greg Adams, the big boss man and the grand poobah of Geek'd Con. We'll take a break.